In the early 1800s, the Bell family's tranquil life in Adams, Tennessee, twisted into a waking nightmare. It started as faint, persistent knocking on the walls of their home, soft enough to dismiss, but impossible to ignore. Scratching sounds followed, like claws dragging against wood. Night after night, the noises crept closer, echoing from the darkness. Soon the terror took a physical form. Doors slammed on their own, chairs were violently overturned, and objects flung themselves across the room. The children began waking with deep scratches on their arms, their screams piercing the silent nights. Shadows moved where no light should cast them, their twisted forms lingering longer than any human shape. But the worst was yet to come. The family began hearing a voice, a low, guttural whisper that called their names in the dead of night. It laughed at their fear, mocking their prayers. As the days passed, the voice grew louder, more hateful, and unmistakably alive. The youngest daughter, Betsy, became the entity's favorite victim. Her hair was yanked with such force it tore clumps from her scalp. Bruises appeared on her body, dark and raw, as if struck by an invisible hand. The voice would snarl cruel threats to her, its tone cold and venomous. At night, Betsy would wake choking, clawing at her neck, as if unseen hands were tightening around her throat. John Bell, the family patriarch, suffered most of all. He was tormented endlessly, his limbs convulsing, his throat closing as if gripped by an invisible force. The witch cursed him relentlessly, calling him a vile man who deserved to die. His health deteriorated rapidly, his body weakening as though drained of life itself. The Bell Witch's cruelty extended beyond the family. Visitors were not spared from her wrath. One night, General Andrew Jackson, skeptical but curious, arrived with his men. As they approached the Bell home, their carriage halted abruptly, as if slammed by an unseen wall. The horses reared and screamed, refusing to move forward. Then, one of Jackson's men began to convulse, his face pale and terror-stricken. The air around him seemed to thicken with an invisible malice. Jackson later fled, reportedly saying, "I'd rather face an entire army than spend another night at the Bell farm." The witch's hatred reached its crescendo on December 20th, 1820. John Bell was found in his bed, his face contorted in agony, his lips stained black from an unknown liquid. The disembodied voice cackled in triumph, boasting, "I told you I'd kill him." Even after John's death, the entity did not fully leave. It whispered in the shadows, scratched at the walls, and laughed softly when the house was silent. Locals swore they saw her figure in the fields, a grotesque silhouette that would vanish if approached. Some even claimed to hear her voice, still mocking, still cruel, drifting through the wind. The Bell Witch's wrath was not bound by time. Her story remains etched into the dark fabric of Adams, Tennessee, a tale of unrelenting horror and an evil that refused to die. What do you think really happened to the Bell family? Was the Bell Witch a vengeful spirit, a demon, or something beyond comprehension? Have you ever experienced anything like this yourself? Or do you believe it's just folklore? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more scary, mysterious, and haunting stories.